Yeah, as like, let's say if I went back to our high school and middle school,
Mm-hmm.
it's an interesting future ahead because you grow up with these tools where you don't.
Yeah.
So it's gonna, I always said that the internet it's gonna create a huge inequality because it's gonna create ultra smart people, like ultra hardworking people, like people will be 12 years old and will know as much physics as a PhD or a professor, but it will also create this ultra deprived like learning people that will use these tools as not to not do the homework so they could watch Netflix, while someone will just use everything these tools to just get out of school and then just be focusing on becoming, creating new tools and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, right now, I'm actually very concerned about the inequity in broadband access, like who has access and who does not, like who has access to information, like you mentioned. Like that is something that I think we do need to make more people have access, especially because it provides like knowledge about like town halls that we talked about earlier. It allows for communication. Now, I remember when I was really little, my parents were both born in Greece. I was born here, but we would go back, and we went back for a significant amount of time while my father was still here. And I remember in the U.S., almost everyone you had a phone.
Right.
And back there, like people didn't have phones. It was like 4/5 mountains, and there was one tavern that had a phone, and I would go there like, every Sunday, and I would, wait for a phone call from my dad. And it was a big deal to be able to talk to him. And he would just be screaming into the phone because like the technology was very different. And also like many people would come knowing that I would be there to listen to my half of the conversation. And so sometimes like after that I would go and play. And by the time I got home, my mom already knew what we talked about because people had told her.
Wow.
And then my grandfather got a phone. He got one of the first phones in the village. And then like we discovered that what's the point if there's nobody else has one? Who are we going to talk to? So his house became like a lobby for people waiting for calls from the US. And so it was kind of fun. It was kind of social. But this idea being that like, and there was this inequity, right? Like he had a phone, other people didn't. And it was still hard to put phones in place because of all the mountains. But then when cell phone technology came around, it became easier for more people to have a phone. And so, right now, like we saw that happening like in Ukraine recently, with, communication systems down and some of the challenges you face when you don't have communications. And then we saw Starlink go in. And then you have like one person having the power to give all of these people like information. I mean, it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
But who has it and who does it and who gets to control who has it and who does it, like you said, is going to create some really interesting dynamics. And hopefully we can, prioritize, access to everybody.